Hi friends, it's Nancy. I have a flip through of my most recent journal. This one is grammar, punctuation, letter writing. So this is an old textbook. I believe it was from, I want to say 1902 or something like that. 1905. The books themselves, the earliest copyright is 1899. So, yeah. So this is a very old book. I've reinforced the spine, and I've sewn in the signatures in a way that it's a curved hidden spine that has some crochet lace and some cheesecloth in the top. This book is 6 by 9 inches. It has a 1 3/4 inch spine, has 7 signatures, and 196 pages. On the 196 pages, there is 36 movable pieces of ephemera. So what I mean by that is, okay, this collage isn't movable, this library tag, or sorry, pocket is not movable, but the 2 tags inside it are movable, so that would count as 2. Okay, so I'm just going to do a flip through and tell you about the book. And sorry, I've got the cord plugged into the camera. Hang on. Okay, hopefully that will slow things down. I imagine the cord is in the shot now, though. A little bit. It's not bad. All right, let's get this going here. So, I have a video earlier, I believe it was actually last week, where I made library pockets out of vintage book pages. So you could look back at my my channel to see that video. These collage pieces I made while I was a passenger in my son's car the other day. The front of the book and the back of the book are covered with an old school atlas that I picked up. So the pages that I use include the actual textbook pages, which feel beautiful. They're very strong and creamy, and they don't crease and shatter like some other 120-year-old pages. In fact, I use these, they fold nicely, they're awesome. I'm so glad that I get to keep a whole bunch of them. I've stitched 2 layers of coffee dyed net together to embellish the side of this page, but otherwise I left it pretty plain. This was, you know, the front of the book. Here's a little collage that I've used as a tuck spot, and just put this collage tag under there. It does have writing space. Here's a little envelope, and inside the envelope I've made this postcard. It's plain on the other side, so you can add an image or do some journaling. Here's another pocket. Inside, this is a Tim Holtz journaling card, and this does open. There's nothing in it right now, but you can certainly add something. These brads are actually vintage office brads, and so they're kind of a fun color, and they're not precisely round. I forgot to mention, this is paper from a calligraphy how-to manual. This is some sort of Asian text, I don't know. This is tea-stained lined paper. And here's another little collage, and this is a journaling card that I made by stitching an image to some vintage file folder. Did a little bit of stenciling. This is some notebook paper, ledger paper, and I just want to draw your attention to the tabs. There's 7 tabs, one for each signature, and the tabs are made from the reverse side of security envelopes. Those were a lot of fun to make and a lot of work. And some note paper. I had one leftover faux postage. I had one faux postage stamp left over, so I just kind of tucked that in there to decorate that page. This one folds out. This tuck spot here, I noticed that it said it was a book from a book about birds and talks about the cardinal. So I actually found 3 different stamps that had cardinals on them and glued those there, and I changed out the ribbon on here to match the cardinals so that you can journal on here. But I tried to keep this pretty neutral. This little tag has I think that's a badger, right? So I'll move that in there so you can see it says the cardinal. Another half of an envelope with a postcard in it. And this is a pocket, so it has a place to tuck a card, and this is using dictionary paper, and there's some fabric and other things, and an image of a bird, of course. And this is just a tag that you can journal on. This is old seam binding that I put there. Okay, second signature. Again, there's another tab. So there's lots of space for writing, keeping lists, journaling. This is a long tag that again has file folder and some stenciling on it, but it's light enough that you can write over it. For the tuck spot, this is a big slide actually, and I took the slide out. I took it apart and took the slide out, and inside I put some acetate and a piece of vintage lace between the 2 layers of acetate. I like how that turned out. Tea-dyed doily. Oh goodness. And this is a removable journaling card. Yes, tuck that there. This is a guest check. You can certainly slip something in there. And I got this is an image of a telegram that I've stitched around, and it just slips inside this pocket. I have no idea who this guy is. And here's a little tag that has a postage stamp on it. Now we're into the second signature. Here's a little tuck spot. This is a Tim Holtz journaling card. And a little tag with some stamps. And I thought this image of the mailbox with the nest inside was really, really cute with the birds. There's a couple of pages from a stamp album. There's a couple of pages from a bird field guide. I made this tag earlier this morning. So on one side it has a vintage typewriter and some stenciling, and on the other side it has some postage stamps and an image of a pen. And it just gets tucked back in here. It's too far away from my eyeballs to see very well. Here's a little tuck spot. This is an image of a letter front that you can journal on. Here's another collage, and this is an image of a big letter, but it's backed onto file folders, so you can use that to journal on. This was a bridge score sheet, and somebody had been keeping score on it, so I kept that and decoupaged on a little bit of napkin and lace over top of that. Here's another collage. This is a fabric cup, and it has a little journal card in there. And I've chose to put a cup there because it says cafe and caffeine, for that matter, and cake. Those are all of my favorite things. There's some more bird page. This little paper clip here, I wouldn't try to move that because it's kind of sharp, and I did tear the page a little, so I've added washi tape to force it. So I wouldn't take it out too often. This heart is a collage of red postage stamps, and this is an actual antique pen nib. I got a whole bunch of them at a museum sale last summer. So I snapped those up. So I've just got that hanging from this heart. There's cheesecloth there. And this is just a piece of a diary. Slipped in there. Fourth signature. This is just a little textile collage. This has a little postcard in it. And this is an image of a letter that I cut out of a book and stitched. I reinforced it with card and then stitched around it. And this is the fifth signature. Fifth? Yep. This says, "When words escape us, flowers speak." And it's a little matchbook notebook. I made that out of dictionary, sorry. This is a piece of writing paper. I only had one and I just love it. This is a journaling card. It has an image of a woman reading a book. And here's a little altered paper clip. Well, this is interesting. It talks about postage, Valentine's. Interesting. Now we're into the sixth signature. Here's another tuck spot, and it says "Wealth of Words" on it. So I made this little journaling card, and this one has a picture of a woman reading. This is just to decorate the page. There's no, it's not tuck spot or anything. Here's another pocket similar to the other one. And it has a tag and a journaling card. This is, I think this came from a paper pack. I don't know which one. So this was a journaling card from a paper pack, and I put it on there as a pocket. There is a tutorial on my channel how to make these little notebooks. So I made this notebook out of tea-dyed papers and the cover from a vintage stamp album. And I have a tutorial of how to make these punches with the masked out word, so that quill is highlighted here. This is a Tim Holtz ephemera piece. I just glued on some lace. This is a vintage paper clip that I weaved in there, and a little charm. And inside there's a tag that I've dyed and baked. And whoops, and this is a little journaling card. Okay, if you saw my video from earlier this morning, you saw my opportunity for design when I punched the wrong side of this envelope. But that's okay, worked out. And I really like the stitching, and this, I think this is probably one of my favorite collage pieces. The tag inside has, whoop, pulled the paper clip right off, has stenciling, image of roses, and a pen, and some vintage seam binding. Went with yellow to match the collage and the flowers. And here's another altered paper clip. It has a little Victorian scrap piece. And this can come off. There's no problem with this one. These vinyl covered paper clips they're not going to catch at your paper. And inside this flap is this vintage birthday card that I made into a little notebook. And then you just clip it back in there. We're getting to the end. And here's a little piece of ephemera. I'm not sure where it came from. Printed by the Treasury Department, 1947. So it's celebrating 100th anniversary of U.S. postage stamps. So I made a little tuck spot out of that. And this is paper from a vintage atlas. And I've stitched it to some other paper so it can be used as a journaling tag. And this is some canceled postage. Again, I put that on some file folder, added some vintage doily, crochet doily, and stitched around it. I really think that's attractive. And it's vintage too. We know it's been a long time since a letter cost 23 cents to mail, that's for sure. And the back cover has this pocket. Again, this unwinds and opens up. There's nothing in it right now, but you can tuck a secret message in there if you like. And inside I have made this flip out folder thing, and there is a piece of card in each one that you can journal on or add images to, or you can take them out and add your own letters or postcards or photographs. Anyway, and there's vintage postage stamps on there, and they've all got horses on them. This one's from Hungary, but the other two are from Mongolia. And then I just tied it closed with some baker's twine here. So that is this journal. If you're interested in purchasing this journal, go to my Etsy store. It'll be listed there. If this video is up, then it's been listed. Again, I've really enjoyed making this book. It feels really substantial. I will be closing it with some vintage seam binding. I just didn't happen to have any at hand when I started filming this. But it will be a couple loops of vintage seam binding, wrinkle stuff. And I'm sure this would be great for, keeping track of addresses and making lists and doing other kinds of journaling, keeping track of the books you read, or your orders that you make on Etsy. You want to make sure they come in. You write them here, and as they come in, check them off. So there's lots of uses for a journal, right? Anyway, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. If you are a subscriber, please share this video with a friend that you think would enjoy reading, or sorry, not reading, but watching creative videos like this. And we will talk to you soon.